Welcome to the Roost. I'm Lori Winkler, and today I'm bringing you another open book conversation with a woman I admire and who inspires me to live my best, most joyful life. I'm talking to Farin Doran. Sorry.
Either or.
Farin Doran about gratitude, and I think gratitude is definitely one of those keys to joy, and so it's a very appropriate topic for us to talk about at the Roost as we focus on the pursuit of joyful living. And so Farin is a fitness entrepreneur, she's a wife, she's a mother. She's also the author of the Live Inspired Gratitude Journal. I've written about this on the Roost before. This is one of my favorite things. And she is also the host of the Inspire Her podcast. Welcome, Farin. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. We went out to lunch not too long ago, and you're one of those people I could talk to forever.
No.
So thank you for being here today. I just thought to get things started, you are somebody who just radiates joy. That was actually one of the first things that I noticed about you was your big smile, and you have this sense of positive energy. And I was kind of surprised when we were at lunch when you said it wasn't always the case. And I wondered, can you kind of start us out by sharing a little bit about your journey, some of the struggles, and how you got to a point where you are looking to live inspired and motivate other women to do the same?
Yeah, this is like my favorite topic, and probably one of the hardest. I'm looking all over the place.
Oh, no,
yeah.
You're fine. Me too.
But probably one of the, hardest to talk about and hardest to open up, because I think as women, kind of our social media and our presence is a lot of our highlight reel, pretending like everything's fine. And so, my story kind of starts with, I didn't have the best upbringing. I didn't have the best parents, or, we lived, we had our own welfare, most of my clothes growing up were from the Goodwill. And even though I love the Goodwill now, it's like I've learned to appreciate it now. But, growing up, it was really hard. And, growing up with not a mom that wasn't great was, a hard part of my life. And that's kind of what I write about in the Live Inspired Journal is about those moments in my life, and, our dinners that were sat in front of the TV, and moments where we didn't practice gratitude. And so what kind of brought on this, journal and this life of mine now is just, taking everything that I didn't have and turning it into a positive. And how can I be a better mother and a better wife because of the experiences that I did have. And so that, along with, postpartum depression and, being overweight and, really...
Those are very common things that a lot of women struggle with.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, and I think it was finding my lowest, crawling my way out of it, and then realizing that I have this amazing opportunity to share that with other women. And in hopes of, everything I do has Inspire in it. Live Inspired Journal, Inspire Her podcast, mostly because that is my goal, is just to inspire other women to live a better life, and to watch what I have done and what's worked for me, and to really just pay that forward and help other people. So
yeah, I love that. And that's very much what we hope to do with the Roost. I mean, it's, not everything we write about is going to click with everybody, but we're focusing on joyful living. And you were somebody that just inspires me, and this gratitude journal is making a big difference. I think gratitude is something where you have to really be specific sometimes. And as I'm going through this, I'm finding that I have to dig a little deeper than just I'm grateful for my family.
Right.
And then come up with just those little tidbits of I'm grateful for the fact that my third grader still wants me to go on field trips with her.
Yes.
Whereas my sixth grader doesn't always care so much anymore. Do you have any tips where people are like, gratitude? How do you find that when you're going through tragedy, or you're dealing with illness or loss?
Right. That is so good. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, when I was writing the journal, I thought there's going to be people that you're going to put the book aside and be like, I'm not grateful for anything today. And the moment you say that, the moment you feel that, is when you're like, I need it more than ever right now. Like, I need quiet time, I need me time. And if I can't find something to be grateful for, I can produce something to be grateful for. And maybe it is that quiet time, or that walk, or taking a step away. And you know, like your car might have broken down that day and the worst could have happened, but if you can turn every negative situation into a positive, you will live a happier and more fulfilled life. And I've totally had those times. My husband and I, like, he's the greatest thing in the world, but you know, we argue and his name still goes on my gratitude. And like, but you know, it is exactly what you said, is maybe it's not just writing down my husband, maybe it's something else that he did for me, you know, or why am I grateful for him? I think the power of a gratitude journal, instead of just saying things out loud and writing them down, is you have the opportunity to reflect.
Sure.
And so the days when your car does break down, or your kids weren't that nice to you, or your husband didn't unload the dishwasher, you look back and you see those things that you were grateful for, and it kind of brings you back to the reminder.
It makes you feel blessed.
Yes.
It makes you not just feel blessed, but I think realize how blessed we are.
Correct.
One of the things that, you know, as I'm going through this too, I'm finding I enjoy looking back and seeing those little things written down. And it could be the most minute detail of the day, but I hope that, I was thinking that as I make my way through this, maybe my kids will find this one day.
Yes.
And it'll be almost a journal in terms of what happened in my life and what I was grateful for, and they'll appreciate that.
Oh yeah. My kids, so we're homeschooling, and so, you know, the minute we homeschool, we're like, all right, your daily thing is your gratitude. So they have their own gratitude journal, and it is so fun opening theirs up and seeing something that they were grateful for, you know, a couple weeks ago. And, you know, and it's something silly that you didn't think that mattered to your children that did. And that is just like, that's everything.
I think that's a really good point too, is getting your family involved, getting your kids involved, and helping them develop that habit of being grateful, because that's what I think you do with this Live Inspired journal, is you make it a habit. And there are a couple other things in your journal that you bring up called the 3 M's that are some other healthy habits. Can you tell us a little bit about those, what they are, and why are they significant?
Yeah, those are, I really wanted something different in my book. I wanted it to be not just your regular gratitude journal. I wanted it to be, you know, something that I do. And how this actually started, my husband, when I said I wanted to do a gratitude journal, I said, I want to create something. And so he literally went to the store. You know, I think he went to Walmart. He comes home and he, you know, when I woke up in the morning, there was a little journal and with a pen, and he said, get started. And he said, start writing out what you do. Like, if you want to make this, then do it. You know, like, write out what you do daily and start writing your gratitude, you know, be consistent. And it was the push that I needed. And, so I started writing down the things that I do, and so the 3 M's came up, and it's make your bed, manifest your goals, and move your body. And so I wanted to help people with what I do daily and give them, okay, these are the exact things that I do daily to be successful. And I feel like I have had great success. So it's like, what are the things that I've done? And it really was the 3 M's. It was, you know, making your bed. And I heard this speech, and he talks about, you know, as someone from the military, and talks about making your bed. And if it's the first thing that you do each day, when you come home at night, no matter how bad your day was, there's a bed that's made that you did. And so we teach that to our children now, like, make your bed, you know, and then move your body. It's something that I've done for 6 years. Every single day I find a way to move my body. And I think there's just so much science to that. Just,
absolutely,
you know, and releasing endorphins, and that's a part of gratitude too. I don't move my body because I hate my body. I move it because I love my body. And so manifesting your goals, you know, that's such a good one, because my kids, when I wrote that down and they did their first page on their gratitude journal, they came up and they're like, Mom, what is manifest your goals? What does that mean? And I was like, oh, well, this is good. And I said, what do you want in life? What do you want for tomorrow? What do you want for today? What makes you happy? What do you want to do? And I said, just think about that. And they do, and they check it off. And that's so important, is maybe manifesting your goals is just for the end of the day, or maybe it's for the next day. Sometimes my manifesting my goals are just to be a better mom, or be more present, or be a better wife, or maybe it is these big lofty goals, but if you don't think of them, and
do you break them down day by day as you go through the journal?
My goals. Sometimes, honestly, it's. I've gotten in such a habit of just, I check, and when I get to manifest your goals, I literally will think of what do I want. It's kind of, my visualization time to be like, what do I want in my life? And I'll tell myself, I want to be successful, or my goals are, I want to be a good mom today, that's
I want to be more patient.
Yeah.
I think about myself.
Right. Yeah. And that is, sometimes that's your only goal, and so that's the 3 M's have played such a huge part in my life. Those are the things. If I do nothing else the rest of the day, I will have done the 3 M's, and I will have written my gratitude every single day.
That's wonderful. I think I saw, you might have put it on social media, that your Live Inspired journal was sent to some people that were perhaps on the verge of suicide.
Yes.
Is that correct? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah,
that must have been a real, wow, I'm so glad I did this.
Yes, it was very humbling to get that message. Someone messaged me who had the journal, and then she said, I've been through it, and she said, can I get some extra? I'd like to send them to people, and she was going to make these little gift packages. And, my heart stopped for a minute, because I'm like, wow, this is the bigger impact here. Gratitude can really make a difference. And and to think that people who maybe feel that way would maybe if they just focus on things they were grateful for throughout the day, maybe that would make a difference. And it's you mentioned I did this great post and about it, and I have so much love. People are messaging me like, this is so great, this is and but I thought about it a lot, and I came back the next week with another post, and I was like, the real hero here, I was great for writing the journal, wonderful, hats off to me, but the real hero was this girl that decided to message me that wanted to give to some people that are in need, and so that's the bigger impact is, I'm great for writing the journal, but she's even more wonderful for putting that together.
Making that connection.
Yeah. And
that this could really help other people.
Right. So.
Well, that's fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel like I'm asking you some things that we didn't even say we were going to talk about today, but that are coming to my mind as we chat. I just, in addition to your Live Inspired journal that I am making part of my routine, I am becoming addicted to your Inspire Her podcast. I've been going back and listening to all of your older episodes, and I love it.
Oh, thanks.
So can you give us a little bit more insight into what it is and how did you come up to do a podcast? I know you have a podcast on how you started this podcast. I know. But if you could just share a little bit about what prompted you to start Inspire Her.
Yes, I would go to all these different women's events, and I used to live in Baltimore, and I would go to these events, and there were all these incredible women. I can just find something incredible about every woman that I meet. And I would tell these women oh, you're amazing. And I specifically remember one woman, she owned a catering company, just hers, owned this catering company. I said, you're incredible. And she said, oh no, it's no big deal. And I thought, what? I mean, a man would literally, cheers a beer and chug it and say, I did this.
Yes.
But a woman, we are like, no, it's fine.
We tend to undersell.
Yes. We don't, which is so wonderful that I think most women are humble, and we don't want a lot, we're like, no, it's fine, but we also need to shout each other out. And I came home directly from there. My husband was waiting up for me and this event, and I told him, I said, I need to start a podcast. And he was like, why? What are you thinking? And, he's my hype guy, he's so fun. And I said, well, because I just met this woman and she didn't know how incredible that she is. And I said, what if I can create a platform similar to this? We're on the same wavelength. But I can, interview women, and they can share their story, and we could just inspire the world. What if we just inspire everybody? Because if I didn't interview this woman, who's going to hear her story? Because she doesn't even think that she's incredible. And he said, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Let's come up with what you want to do, how you want to do it. And we just launched it. And it has been really incredible because you hear people's stories, and I don't think a lot of people know things. You just see this beautiful, successful woman, and
they don't necessarily share the backstory or what were some of the hurdles as they were going through the process.
Right. And that's a lot what I focus on in the podcast is we just kind of dive into, what struggles did you have? How did you get out of it? And I just hope that one woman hears it and thinks, okay, because of her, I can. And so it's
or I'm not alone. So this is normal to feel a little bit intimidated, a little bit doubtful.
Right.
But this person went for it, and I can too.
Right. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been successful. It's exciting. Yeah. My husband, but I have the same doubts as everybody. Sometimes I'll say, is anybody even listening to this? Is this even good? Yeah. He's like, I am. And I'll ask my husband, I don't know if I can do this, and he says, Farin, and he's like, it's great.
Well, you've had a lot of really interesting guests, and that's, I've listened, and there are definitely some common themes that emerge, but has there been one that has just really stood out to you, like that has made more of it? I guess you don't want to give favoritism to any of your guests, but is there a common theme that you find, or?
Yeah, I interviewed one girl. Her name's Kaylee Calabrese, and she, was like into fitness and all. And I just adore her.
She's Autumn.
Yeah.
I just ordered one of her books today.
You did?
Her book, yeah.
Yes, that's so. She's gonna love to hear this. Yeah, she's great, and she was, I love when people know who she is, and then I'm like, you gotta listen to this podcast, because it tells this story that people don't know, and otherwise you would look at this girl, she's on, she's on fitness videos. I work out to her in the morning, and I would put her on a pedestal, and then meanwhile you look at her life and what she's gone through, and that always sticks out to me, and I'm always sending that to, her podcast to people. I'm like, if you knew this, maybe we would treat women differently. If you can look at every woman as you're walking by and think everybody's going through a struggle you know nothing about. So put a smile on your face, say hi, and also give grace, maybe somebody. Be kind to people. Yeah, you don't know what people are going through. And, we put this girl on a pedestal, and we might have never, you might never have messaged her or talked to her because you're like, oh, she's too cool. But meanwhile, she has a story just like everybody else.
Everybody's human.
Yeah.
Well, that I feel like you're reminding me. I don't know if I've listened to that particular podcast.
Now you have to.
Go back. We always wrap up our interviews at the Roost by asking our guest, what's bringing you joy these days?
I love that. What a good question. Oh my gosh. My whole life, I kind of said lately that I Marie Kondo my life, and I just kind of sit out like, what brings me joy? When we were living in Maryland, and I started to, I would go to book club things, and I was like, I don't really like this. And I would go to things that you didn't, even when you're volunteering for your kid's school, and you're like, I don't really like doing this. You don't have to. I'm going to do things that bring me joy, and being a mom brings me joy, and what makes me a better mother and a better wife, and makes me happy, at all cost. And people ask me all the time, what should I, they ask me questions like, what should I do, or wanting advice. I'm like, just only do what brings you joy. Cut everything else out. You're not promised tomorrow. So, for me, what brings me joy, my kids are just everything.
How old are your kids again?
7 and 10.
Okay.
And actually, my husband, just before I left to come here, I was talking about business and what I like doing and what I don't like doing, and he's always like, what do you like? And I said, all I know is that I love my life. I love my life the way it is right now. I love being with my husband whenever I want. I love working from home. I love, my kids and I, we just took a bike ride to the boat dock, and we just watched the water, and I want that. So I said, I will work towards that joy, that I need to have that whenever I want. So I can't give up working from home. I can't work for anybody else. I need to be with my husband whenever I want, and my kids, and because they are truly what brings me the most joy.
Yeah, it's like building a life that has more of what you want in it and less of what you don't.
Yeah.
I think it's a simple
formula,
but I think a lot of us, myself included, feel like I have to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
I have to do this, even if I don't really enjoy it. And it took a long time for me to get to a point where I was comfortable saying no sometimes. It sounds very selfish, but what you find is that when you are focusing on some of the things that bring you joy, you're also bringing more joy to your family, more joy to your kids and your husband, but you're also doing things like this and the Inspire Her podcast that are also spreading some joy around. So sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish, I think, to be able to make a bigger impact on people.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm eventually, impacting my children. They need to watch me be, unapologetically joyful at all times.
Yeah.
And so what makes me happy, and I will literally just do a Marie Kondo of anything, like and this doesn't bring me joy. I don't want to do it, and I think you can do that with friendships and things, and what brings me joy, and just go for it.
Well, you bring me joy.
Oh yeah, you bring me joy.
and I'm so glad that you sat down with me today. And if people want to find out more about your book, the Live Inspired Gratitude Journal, and the Inspire Her podcast, can they find all of that at FarinDoran.com?
Yes.
I said it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, so FarinDoran.com. And I'm on Instagram on both things.
Social.
So, yeah,
right.
so that's where a lot of people find me there and follow along and tag me if you listen. But
yes.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We'll have all of Farin's information up in the post, but thank you for joining us today, and we hope you'll tune into our next one. Thanks.